All right, welcome back, everybody. Here we're on to working on the cylinder head, and this is going to be quite a saga. I've already had an issue with getting the spark plugs out. They've been sitting in there so long. Had to actually use a half-inch ratchet to get them out, and I don't think it pulled any of the threads. It doesn't look real good, but it doesn't look real bad either. So what I'm going to be doing is before I start any work reassembling or lapping the valves or anything, I'm going to chase the threads with a tool that looks like this. So from there, I'll be able to, check the threads and see if any of them are pulled, or if any of them are starting to pull a little bit. We can chase them with this tool, and that'll straighten them up, and we'll be able to put spark plugs in without any trouble. But I do remember the plugs were put in with some anti-seize compound on them, and for some reason, probably just from its setting and everything, this thing's been setting for about 2 years. Just the aluminum of the cylinder head and the steel of the spark plug over a long period of time, these are not friendly creatures. These things tend to gall right into the cylinder head. So from here, it doesn't look too bad thread wise. They all look about like this. So they were a little tough getting out. So like I said, we're going to chase them. So I want to show you a couple things here with this cylinder head with Quad 4. One of the things that they do to help the motor live a little longer and just keep it a little safe, keep the cylinder head from cracking or warping, because these things are known for blown head gaskets, and if the head gets warped, it's going to blow the head gasket, or if there's an overheating problem, it's definitely going to blow the head gasket. So one of the things that I do, if you look at the thermostat here, I draw a tiny little hole in the thermostat, and what that does, one, it makes it a lot easier to bleed the air out of the cooling system, because there's a place for the air to go, and then we can bleed it. The other thing it does is gives a small amount of bypass. So even though the thermostat may be closed, as the motor's warming up, there's a very small amount of coolant flowing through the block and cylinder head. And my theory is that that will help eliminate any hot spots that would be generated in the head and could cause the head to crack or cause any kind of overheating issues. So there's that. It does take a little longer to warm up with this in, but that's a small price to pay for the security, knowing that I'm not going to crack these heads, because they are known to crack. Now, if you look at the size of that, that's probably about a 1/16, about maybe 3/32 of an inch. The next one, the hole is not going to be that big. This is a little overkill. I probably would go with like a 1/16 of an inch hole and be done with it. So we got that. Now the other thing I want to show you is these heads, the way the old GM literature talks about them, they are ported as cast. So this head hasn't been ported in any way, but if you look at this and look at the intake gasket, a lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll port the intake port to gasket match the intake gasket, and of course then you'd port the intake to match this also. But these come from the factory already gasket matched, so there's really no need or reason or benefit to really enlarging this any more than it already is. It's already a pretty good sized port, probably a little small compared to what's out there today, but with the custom tunes that are available, a lot of guys can get away with a bigger port, especially since it nicks down to a relatively small valve anyway. But I wanted to show you that, so there's no need to open that up or really mess with that. The GM literature says you don't really need to do too much with these. Some very mild bowl work is about all they suggest. So that's maybe something that we look into, but this is just going to be a rebuild. Probably not going to get into that too much. I want to clean this up and make it look like brand new, and you can see we got a lot of good here. But next thing I want to show you is these little holes right here. I don't know if you can see down inside there. There we go. These are the oil drain back holes right in here. Okay, I don't know if you can see that too well. Let me see if I can get this a little closer. Okay, right there. Yeah, these holes right here, these are the oil drain back holes. And what I'm going to do is take a die grinder once I get this all apart and just kind of radius that a little bit, just to make it a little bit easier for the oil to flow back to the oil pan. One thing we don't want to do is starve the motor of oil, and I think by doing that, it'll just make it a little bit easier for the oil to get back to the pan. It's not going to hang around or pull up in the head too much, and that should help it out a little bit. Next thing we want to look at is this, which is unfortunately common at times. It's a broken exhaust stud, and I'm going to show you how to get that out real quick. What we're going to do is we're going to do the old two-nut trick. So we're going to spin this on, get that down on there. Then we're going to take another nut and place it on top. And I'm not using those nuts that have the little spinny washer on them. The washer's captured and they just spin around. I'm not going to use those. I'm going to turn these two nuts together, and then I'm going to take and tighten them together. Get this around perfectly here. Yep, I'm going to turn this around. Okay, so we're going to tighten those two nuts together. And with any luck, whenever I turn this, this should pull the stud out. Pull, and it is. So, yeah, did good. I'm going to show you after I get this out. So I'm going to get all these studs out, get everything out of the way, so that I can pull the valves out, the valve springs, because we are going to have to address a problem with this head, being that it's been setting so long. I'm going to show you that after I get this out. We actually had there's some oxidation in the combustion chamber, and also the valves got a lot of surface rust on them. So pull that out, and that is, well, that's along, and that is it. Now to get these apart, it's real simple. What we do is just put it on here, make sure that's on right, and put the wrench on here, break them loose, and pull them apart. And now we're ready to put another stud in. Get rid of that. So I want to show you this. The set's been setting for quite a while. You get lucky, there's no surface rust on the valve springs and the retainers or the keepers or anything, so we're doing good there. But if we turn this over, you can see we have a lot of surface rust here on the valves. And let me try and get a little better view here. There's a little bit of WD-40 here from whenever I just put a little bit of WD-40 on there to try and get make it easier for the spark plugs to come out. But you can see the surface rust that's on here, and that'll clean up. We're going to take a wire wheel to those, and some of them didn't rust. I'm not sure why, but some of them did. So I'm not quite sure why, but this was wrapped up pretty well, but we are getting some rust there. Now the other thing is, right here, this is like almost like a powdery substance that gets on aluminum that's been sitting around for a long time. So I have some special Scotch-Brite pads that we're going to use to clean that off. So this combustion chamber will look nice and pretty whenever we're done, and the valves should look pretty much like this one whenever we're done. And if you look down, let me see if I can flip this up here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Get this turned around. We even have, let's see, down in here, I don't know if you can really see that too well. I'm going to try and angle it to get the light on it. And there, yeah, just a little bit there. I don't have a light with me. There's no light on this camera, so I don't know if you could see that, but there, the stem is rusted down there, right close to the base of the valve. So this all has to come apart, and we're going to be cleaning it up and doing a couple upgrades, like the radius in the oil holes and for the drain back, and Then we're going to show you how to tear it apart, and then we're going to reassemble it. And to tear it apart, we're going to use a tool like this. All right, old school. And we're all about old school here. So if you want to see how this thing works, come on back for the next episode. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe.